Son of a bitch.
Some bitch.
Well, I was
really
copying
good
a big file to a flash drive, and it just went.
Really, really good start so far. I like this song. I was like, what are you doing?
You picked me up, you shot me down, you stepping out all over town, drove me back to drinking in this bar. I found myself a brand new friend, I'm headed down that road again, I'm listening to the next Ramblecast.
That might be your best one yet.
I have no fucking idea what song that is.
It is called My Next Broken Heart by Brooks and Dunn.
I was going to say it's got to be a country song.
It's a country song, yeah.
Well, way to stump me.
Yeah, it's from the early 90s.
Well, it wasn't the Beatles, so...
It wasn't the Beatles, that's for sure, yeah.
Well, welcome to the Ramblecast. Chips After Dark.
Yeah, God.
Gee, just mute yourself. Here, I'll mute him.
Yeah, nah, he's all right.
He's all right. He's all right. We don't have Chris tonight.
Yeah,
so
he got pulled into... that's right, he's got to do a holiday, doesn't he, or something?
He's
a national holiday.
Yeah.
So
I was wearing this shirt. I got this T-shirt on my vacation last week, because I'm in a store. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's all right. I'll wear this. And let me ask you something. Like, 20 years ago, T-shirts were like, one, cheap, and then two, they're of good material to where they would last a very long time. At least, at least 5 years.
They were comfortable, and
they were comfortable. Yeah. And he froze. Anyway, now he's back. All right. And so the last couple of years, granted, I will give it, I have gained a little weight, but I've always worn a large T-shirt, and I've been recently.
I didn't want to say it, but you are putting on weight.
Hey, thanks, Jack. But recently, I've been buying XL T-shirts because they're so cheap now that they shrink. So I was like, okay, I'll buy an XL, and then they'll shrink after I wash them the first time. Well, this one, I haven't washed it yet, but I put it on, and it's like a fucking nightgown. It's like it goes down like halfway to my legs. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Well, you're from the
South. Each T-shirt manufacturer is different too.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
because I know that bubble.
Don't all guys in the South wear? I mean, I've seen the movies about slavery times. They all seem to have like hats, like little, and they have long like nightgowns.
Are you sure?
Am I right?
We're not Ebenezer Scrooge,
And yeah, Nick's not from the 1800s South.
No,
is he?
Although I did see this reel the other day where it was like this guy that was talking about how he wanted, like a real woman, like a woman from like the 1800s.
Be awful.
And
old.
it was
Mel.
It was one of those reels where somebody spliced in was basically like, so you want a woman that basically just serves you and has no right to vote whatsoever.
I don't see the problem.
That's what's funny.
Wow.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. We
lost connection there with North Carolina.
I'm joking.
That does crack me up though, because there's definitely times where you go like, if I had a time machine, I would like to see, the Roman period, or I'd like to see, some battle, or you kind of want to be a fly on the wall to some historical events for sure.
Right.
But you don't want to go back and live in those times. It's like, when you bathe like once every 2 weeks, and you wore wigs because your hair was so damn oily and gross that it's like, yeah, I'm going to cover this shit up. It's like,
Cindy always says those people must have stank. Every time she sees like a thing where they're, like they're going across the Oregon Trail or whatever it is.
Oh, they did. Yeah. Because I even know people, in today, because, cleansing standards are different depending on countries and cultures and all this, and not to throw anyone under the bus, but like I've got friends that they don't use deodorant because it's not part of their culture. And if they do, it's like they use like baby powder or they'll do something else. And it's like, oh, and granted they don't stink, but you imagine just it's an overwhelming smell, depending on what they're wearing. It could be cologne, it could be oils, it could be, and you're like, wow, like, I guess you're just used to that, and it definitely throws me off sometimes when I'm like, oh,
I'd be like this.
Well, I was thinking like, the Jurassic period would have just been so like pungent,
Jurassic.
Well, like I think about this, like if you're ever in like really thick, heavy humidity, you can smell things a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you think about all of the methane gases that the, dinosaurs and their farts and, decomposition and just large amounts of piles of dung and shit everywhere. It just seems like it would be
a big shit right there. That's a big pile.
Well, it's Jurassic Park, that's my reference. So
that's something else that the movie never. Granted, they were in the Caribbean, in those islands, but the probably the average temperature back then was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, anyhow, and you wonder,
right?
All those dinosaurs, you're like, they're like, damn, it's cold,
right?
Poor T-Rex is like this, going, I can't cover myself. That's right. Oh, I got little arms.
Was something that seems to never bothered Godzilla.
How'd they wipe their ass?
Well, he's not a dinosaur.
Kind of is, though, right?
No, he's from another sublayer of Earth.
He looks like a dinosaur to me. I'm gonna have to back up Matt.
And it depends on which, is he from the sublayer of Earth or is he created through nuclear, nuclear. I want to make sure I'm not George W. Bush, because that's the other thing. He was created through all the atomic blasts and all that stuff, and that's why he's the protector of all that. And anyway,
the cat just decided, like, hey, I'm gonna decide to chew on this Lego set. All of a sudden, like, it's just trying to get my attention.
Oh, okay.
That is all right. Sherry, yes, that's right. That's why brides traditionally carry bouquets, is because it's to hide the smell. That is true. There's also a lot of interesting stuff about how traditions change depending on the time, because like women never wore white ever in weddings because there was a rhyming scheme for colors, and it's in a book I've got, and like white was like, if you wear white you'll fight, and so they never wore white. And it wasn't until basically the progressive era where everything became like about purity, and
ironically not progressive.
Right. Ironically it was. Yeah. But that,
is that what when they came up deflower you?
I don't know about the deflower. That's a good.
Well, guess. I do know that the whole, like, you're not supposed to see the bride before the wedding. That's a whole, like, because, grooms would back out of the deal, basically. Like, it goes all the way back to Jack getting kicked off this podcast for being chauvinistic. But no, it goes back to, when it was like, oh, hey, you're giving me a couple sheep, my son can marry your daughter. Son sees the daughter before, oh, it's I don't want to marry her. I don't,
because you're saying arranged
marriages, exactly. Like, you would be like, oh, my son of a stable boy is going to marry your daughter of a seamstress, whatever, and then they're like, oh crap, like the son saw her and he's actually gay, but he's
I'm getting the raw end of the deal here.
Right, exactly.
Well,
anyway,
the poor woman doesn't have a choice in the matter.
Right, exactly.
Which is, let's be honest, that's BS.
It is.
Well, it's interesting. Like my friends I know from India, there's still a massive arranged marriage country, and and it's interesting to have discussions. I mean, they all would prefer, of course, a love marriage, when you're young,
right.
But the ones you do talk to about arranged marriages are like, oh, it's not as bad as you think it is, because your parents really go through like a whole process, and and then it's usually very financial beneficial to you.
There's some other issues that we can bring up with the whole caste system, and how that's still.
Oh, it's still around. Like, I think I said that to you, like, or somebody. That was what was interesting about these two people in particular, is that she's a Jain, which is kind of hard to explain to people who don't know the religions within India.
I saw G.I. Jane.
And her caste, even though the caste system is no longer around, is a lot higher than what his was. But his dad was like a workaholic. And so they're just penny pinchers and all that. And like they are way more wealthy than her family. So it was like, okay, it was mutual beneficial. So that was why they were allowed to get married. And I was like, wow, that's just crazy to think that something as weird as that could prevent you from marrying a person you want to marry. But
got to wonder their frontier days where they have the flowers after the wedding. It's like, can you keep the flowers there just for a second? Because, they stink, right? The smell. Right. But then you had the arranged marriages where they married like kids.
Oh, sure. Right. Yeah.
Where adults married. It's like, and that's just sickening.
They wed certain relatives together in order to keep, land.
The bloodline?
Yeah. Oh, right. Even just land, in the family name or whatever.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, like with the kings and queens, they used to marry off their daughters.
Or you marry cousins, like third cousins, because it's like, oh yeah, we're all family.
Look at Lady Mary from Downton Abbey.
Right? Yeah.
She married her cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew.
Take it from Jack with a mouthful of crackers.
Or Fritos.
I almost guessed that when you started eating. I was like, I'm eating Fritos.
Well, he did hold up the bag earlier and dance it around.
I was dancing it.
Oh, okay.
I just cracked open the O'Hara's Irish Stout Nitro.
Oh, nice.
So, craft brewed in Ireland. I usually don't dip into the beers, but I like a dark one, and it's fall time. So, So, anyway.
We're going back in time, and I want to live in that era. Well, most people died at a young age.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless you had money,
And even then, you still didn't,
But like I said, I remember like John Adams reading the book. Not only did Abigail Adams have an affair, but they would leave the city during the where there was a virus. When the springtime would come, they would leave. The rich people would leave.
Right.
The poor people had to stay behind. They died,
and
the rich people would survive. But anyway,
yeah.
What it is.
And then, think about just like like they did that movie, 100 Ways to Die in the West or whatever, like comedy, but it's absolutely true. I mean, think about living to 50 years old and then you die from a cavity, tooth, some bacterial infection in your tooth.
You're out gardening and you prick your finger on a thorn or whatever, and you get this infection and die.
You just die. It's something as simple as that. I mean, heck, I should have died twice already in my life. And it's just, you're like, wow, like just how you can go like that. Yeah.
I don't know if there were times in which I could have died, but there were times in which I wish I had. You're just like, ugh.
I'm cool. I'm cool. Just go ahead and take me. But like Washington's had a cold, right? George Washington.
Oh yeah, I'm not exactly sure how he died.
It was COVID.
They were bloodletting him. They were draining his blood, and I think that's why he eventually died.
Oh,
well,
I think he just had a cold or something. Not a cold, but he had like the flu or something.
The artist Raphael, I probably have mentioned this on the show before.
Formerly known as Prince.
Yeah, formerly known as Prince, but no, Raphael, the artist, Renaissance painter. He died because he was quite the partier. So he died. He was kind of like, he lived young and fast and partied too hard, got sick or what have you. And then they cut the wrong vein and then he died. So
drink James Dean. Drink to my
he was an amazing artist though. Amazing artist. Most people know
he's a good corpse.
Most people know Raphael's artwork from the
Ninja
Turtles. Yeah. And
that's how I know him.
You use your illusion 1 and 2.
Yeah. And that's just one little thing.
Yeah. School of Athens. Look it up. It's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. So drink to me, drink to my health. You can't drink anymore.
I think the Old West, though.
Picasso's last words.
That's the time you'd go back to as the Old West?
No, I'm just saying I think that's what a lot of people would say, especially my era, my age, because Westerns were, always on TV.
Right.
The movies were all Westerns, and they glorified,
Yeah.
even, so you're like, I'd like to be in the Old West, do a shootout.
Right.
I'd like to battle Clint Eastwood.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And then
what kind of sissy name is Clint Eastwood?
Then you're gut shot, and you end up laying there for 12 hours.
Well, it's funny because as a kid, I didn't know, because gut shot's like the worst way to die. But
yeah.
But I'd watch the old Westerns on TV, and what's his name, Gunsmoke, James Arnaz, Matt Dillon got shot, I don't know, 18 times, but never died. And that if you get shot, there's no antibiotics, so you're going to probably die. But TV, then you get older and you realize, they go, oh, he should have died that time.
Right. Any time in shows or TV where they get shot up here in this area, because of my sledding accident, I'm always like,
you feel the stiffness.
Yeah, I'm like, every now and then I get a little
hurt myself.
Yeah, every now and then I get a little twinge of like.
Does it bother you in the cold?
No, it's not like I wish it was like a magical injury, which was just like, it's going to rain, or something like that. Yeah. But it doesn't. It's like,
I don't have. I mean, I have injuries all over my body, but
nothing.
I can't predict the rain.
It's so sporadic. It's just like, oh, it aches today, and then maybe it will be cold or something like that. But then the next time it doesn't.
Now the other day I slept on my arm wrong and woke up and it was all. I have these lines all. I sleep funny.
The number one way when you're of a certain age or older that you injure yourself is sleeping.
Oh yeah.
I woke up. I was almost in. I didn't cry because I'm a man, but I was in so much pain and I didn't want to wake Cindy up. So I had to get up. My arm was so numb and twisted. I had lines all over my, because my arm was and it took me like 10 minutes to get, because, I have shoulder problems. It was like, oh wait, that's me crying. I was like, oh, this hurts. Oh, I think I got shot. It's good we have antibiotics. Anyway, no, I was crying. Fucking pissed me off.
That's what, it's funny, just the shit you learn as you get older and the stuff you talk about, it's like, it's kind of like, we could be talking about gardening tools or a lawnmower. It's like, this is such an old man conversation. It's the same thing, same kind of thing. Like, a coworker was talking about having a lot of acid reflux when they're sleeping, and I was like, oh, you should sleep on your left side. And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah. I was like, well, your stomach is over here, right? I was like, so if you sleep on your left side, it tends to stay there. Whereas if you're on your right side, it's gonna, and they're like, oh, I'll try that. It's just like weird shit that you hear or learn.
I started out
okay, well, here's one from Sherry. I just saw that. She says, with one tub of water, the oldest sibling, is what she's meaning here, would start first. Often by the time they got to the baby, it was really dirty. That's where the expression "don't throw the baby out with the bathwater" came from. Sherry bringing the knowledge. Thanks. You learn one. I'll tuck that one away.
There's a lot of really interesting expressions that you don't realize are
I think
why they originate. And
I think
there's a TikTok channel that has it was like things you didn't know, whatever it was. He has like 4 things that you go, this is why this is, and you go, wow, that's why it is. Okay, because sometimes you go, the hell they come up with that one?
Sure. I mean, I think that was one of my early fascinations with like old movies, because most middle schoolers were not like, hey, black and white movies. But I did like to kind of learn like, oh, so that, okay, this relates to that, because you'd hear them talk certain ways, or, it's like, you're like,
frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn.
I was like, so I can call other Germans Krauts. That's a slang. Those 30s.
I think it's like Tom and Jerry.
Like, people don't realize Tom and Jerry, the cartoon, is like it comes from World War II or World War I. Like, the Tommies and the Jerrys. It's like they're always fighting because that's
right.
I think you can still call. You can still call. Can you still call Germans Krauts and not be? I just
felt like I had 70%.
No, I'm just saying because there's certain
that one.
I'm just saying because
of the derogatory terms they would use.
I'm just saying. Can you? Because I'm German, so it's okay if I say it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it's. But can you still? I mean, I haven't heard anyone say it in a while. But can they?
I think it's just the context. Yeah. It's funny because it's like you hear certain jokes or whatever, and sometimes you're like, okay, that's funny. It's not racist. It's just satirical. And then you'll hear another one and you're like, that one's over the line. That's just kind of just making fun of that. And if that's the punchline, then I feel like that's
the other people in World War II is the Japanese. And of course, that term you cannot use. I know you can't say that.
Right. But the Asian hate.
Nor do I want to.
Yeah, the Asian hate and like the fear of the Oriental, that goes back. Like,
well, World War II
way
World War II
was
justified, but the whole.
No, you see the ugly head kind of come out a lot more, but like even right before that, like when I teach the history of comic book class, like because we get into kind of some of those depictions, and you see it kind of more in the kind of early 1900s there, even before but Nick's leaving us. He's getting a book. Whoa, he's got some pajama pants on.
Yeah, he's wearing his nightgown. Again, he's in the 1800s.
He's like a Southern gentleman.
Yes.
If you're not joining us live, then go ahead.
I've probably never shown y'all this. So this was a postcard written in World War II from my
and he never will.
My great granduncle. Oh, but speaking of just like stereotypes.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen that
the
one.
3 crackpots.
And so you can see on the backside.
Hey, that's like Crackpot Jack.
Yeah, right.
The 3 crackpots.
But
I will not be included.
What you could say?
Be included.
I'm not. What is this man doing here? Hogan's Heroes.
Right.
But it's the things you could say in the 40s.
Right.
You can't say now.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Whatever. I can say whatever I want, Jack.
Progression. Progression. You know what you can say though now? Time for a commercial break.
We're 3 minutes early. I'm kidding.
I just like to mix it up. Like this.
I mean, I don't know if you guys are we done yet?
You're okay, you can do it now.
I don't know if you guys are on TikTok a lot.
No. I have not been.
But have you seen the Frankie Valli video where he's out?
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah. It's so sad. He's doing a concert and he's like, I mean, the dude had a great voice at his time. But he's doing these concerts and he comes.
Oh, he's just standing there.
Yeah. He's just standing there, and it's obviously he's got the background saying, and Sherry, they're singing about you. The song, it's in my head. I can't get rid of it because everybody on TikTok's now doing the Frankie Valli, Sherry, and then he's just like this.
Oh, he's not even. Yeah.
But it's singing behind him, but everyone's doing. It's sad. It's kind of funny, but it's sad. Because
it's kind of funny. Sad.
I think it's kind of funny how people are doing it, but it's now a trend on TikTok. So every time I go on TikTok, it's like Sherry, Sherry.
I am glad that I'm not on TikTok. And no offense, Sherry. No offense to that song, but
and there's no way at his age he's almost
personally
dead.
It's my least favorite Sherry song out there.
It's a track, yeah.
Do you like Steve Perry's "Oh Sherry"?
I would take that song over the Sherry Baby song.
Because even Steve Perry couldn't sing it the way he used to now.
Oh,
but Steve Perry's smart enough not to go on stage. I mean,
I remember
they're saying it's elder abuse because they're just pushing him out there, and clearly he doesn't even know where he's at.
No.
I go, come on, people. What are we doing here? What are we doing here?
There's money to be made.
It's not right. It's not. I get people get crazy when it's about money, but how could you live with yourself pushing this poor guy out there who was
it's
once a great talent, but now he's old,
and it's even the concert venue.
He's 90.
Being the kind of like dragon or whatever. It's like. Why not just do a Comic-Con or why not just do not a Comic-Con, but like have some of these old greats together, you could go up, meet, and talk to him for, okay, you're 5 minutes or up, move on.
I don't even know if that would. I don't think he knows where he's at.
Yeah,
that's sad.
I think
he definitely looks like he's just.
And it's just like, okay, now he's being. He once was a great talent. Now he's being made fun of.
Yeah, and we're talking about the musicians, not our politicians.
Well, it's like
no. Well, they're the same thing. I mean,
I don't know if this is a real photo. I saw it this morning, and I dismissed it really quickly. But Jimmy Carter just turned 100.
Yeah,
and
I think it was
and
real.
had
real?
brain cancer. And had brain cancer.
I guess I hadn't seen Jimmy in maybe a couple years or not, but
I'd seen photos of him because he'd be doing work like Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, but that's a few years ago. But not this. This photo looks like he's basically dead. And I was like, holy shit!
Yeah.
I'm like going, why are we showing this?
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, number one.
I mean, it is to that point, Jack. I mean, it's like at some point you kind of just want. Okay, let them have their privacy and their peace, and it's like nobody wants to remember them at that.
No matter what your politics are,
right?
The guy, he did a lot of good,
right?
I'm not, especially after
he was ahead of his time with those solar panels.
Yes, he was.
So,
he grew peanuts. All right, so
he
had to deal with an alcoholic brother.
Apparently, my stepfather met him. So
really,
yeah, before.
But I'm just like going, why? And it was CBS News that was showing it. It wasn't just some.
Random... it just seems like no. Let them have their privacy. I mean, it's like the woman that was Betty Page. I think about this. It's like at some point she just didn't let herself.
What a dish.
Because you just don't want to imagine like
what movie.
It's like. I don't know. You're just
the line. I just get that movie.
Betty Page. What a dish.
What a dish.
It's got to be something with Bill Murray.
Saving Private Ryan.
Okay, I have no idea.
He was the guy that they had captured as prisoner, and they were trying to. He's like,
thanks for derailing my point.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It doesn't matter now.
No. I feel bad. No. I will not talk again until you make your point.
Oh, you've already forgotten
it. No. It was just the point. The point was that some point. The person Betty Page didn't want to have her image out there as like as an older person. You don't want to break the image or the illusion of that. It's sadly kind of why Marilyn Monroe is such an icon is because she never ages.
No.
That's the way anyone that dies early,
she was still hot.
Anyone that dies early always becomes an icon.
By the way,
they die at their peak.
By the way, if somebody does die early and you're at someone's funeral, don't tell the relatives like, well, they'll never age, they'll always be that age, because it is kind of sad and it just sticks with you.
I should
don't say that to people.
So you're saying I should have died like 40 years ago?
No, I'm just saying don't say that to people.
No,
but it is a truth, but you just don't want to hear it at your parents' funeral.
It's like every now and then you'll see a picture of Gene Hackman, and you're like, damn.
Gene.
I did a video on that saying, hey,
Richard Dreyfuss, Gene Hackman, like these are some legends that I just kind of want to.
Well, Richard Dreyfuss,
even Marlon Brando, in some level, it's kind of like
Richard Dreyfuss, he's getting
he puts himself out there.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. It's funny at tangential here. We went to our local zoo here in Indianapolis, and if anybody's in
did you buy it?
The air what? Did I buy the zoo? No. I just
could have been
stay with me on this. Stay with me.
Okay. All right.
So we're at the zoo. They have this wall of like wildlife heroes, right? As you kind of are walking through kind of like in the entrance of the zoo, and there's like a whole kind of thing. They just have this little wall there of some famous kind of like celebrities that have helped this wildlife. Sigourney Weaver's up there. She's like just like happy and smiling.
Did she
and
an alien?
And then there's Harrison Ford, who looks grumpy as fuck.
Just the way he is.
Anyone visits the Indianapolis Zoo, please pay attention to Harrison Ford as you walk.
So Harrison Ford donated something towards the.
I need the tax write-off.
It's part of some wildlife refuge thing.
I can see Harrison Ford being grumpy. He's grumpy in real life.
But, like the photo that they used, he's just like, you know. And I even remarked to my wife, I was like, "Why is he so grumpy?" And she was like, "That's just his face." I was like, "So he has resting old man face."
I think Harrison Ford. I think Harrison Ford is just.
We should have him on the podcast.
Sure. I think he's just a regular guy.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I think if you went to him and talked to him about flying or anything he was into, he would be one of the coolest people to talk to. But if you go up to him and you're like, "Oh my God, Han Solo," he'll be like, "Yeah, fuck."
Right.
Do you remember? Do you remember when you were Han Solo?
Yeah.
And
you always be my president from Air Force One.
Yeah.
Also, I like you as her.
I used to. What was that award show? It was must have been the Oscars or must have been the Emmys, and everyone referred to him as Mr. President. I'm like going. I go. That has to be like, come on.
That's got to get old.
I'm not the fucking president.
Right.
Well, I can see that. Like I'm playing a character. You know, it's not me. I understand.
You are all actors too. Yeah, you understand that wasn't really me.
He always reminded me of like a Midwestern neighbor. You know, like you're living out in the country and it's just like, oh yeah, that's so and so. He lives on that farm. You see him every once in a while mowing or flying his plane.
He's not a what do you call it? Like a star where he's it seems like his ego is.
He would definitely be though. Like even if you're in Hollywood and you get like cast with him, like I can't imagine like the Jason, what's his name from the recent show that he's on Apple TV. Fuck, I'm forgetting about the name of it. Shrinking.
Yeah.
And
I was in the pool.
I just can't imagine just being on that cast and being like,
oh shit, there's Harrison Ford.
Yeah, like just be cool because you want to be cool. Yeah, but you would also be kind of like, hey, so Star Wars, eh?
Well, I think you have to play it cool. You have to start with something. You have to start with some role that just tanked that no one saw. But hey, remember when you did that? That was really good.
Remember you were in American Graffiti?
Look, Mosquito Coast does not get enough credit, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Solid, brother.
Remember Witness?
Yeah. No, you can't do Witness.
Well, he Witness. He got.
Yeah.
Didn't he get an award for that?
I'd go with I don't know if he got an award. He probably was nominated, but I mean, I'm going with Regarding Henry. If I'm going to open up,
Regarding Henry,
So like we're just talking about that. Like this was probably my first year in LA. The movie theater downtown near the Staples Center, which is now whatever it's called now.
Staple Remover Center. It's got the big
SoFi.
claw.
Is it SoFi Stadium now or something? But anyway, so I'm sitting in the movie theater and there's an actress sitting right behind me, and I don't know this until she starts talking to whoever she's with.
Oh, okay.
And you probably know her. Her name was I don't remember. I had to look her up, but her name was Jane Addams. You know, she was in she's been in stuff.
Oh yeah, no, she looks very familiar.
Yeah, and she has a very distinctive voice, and that's how I was like, oh, I know that voice. And I turned around and saw her, and I said something to her like as just like a casual person, and then finally she goes, "Do I know you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm sorry." She goes, "I just heard your conversation, and I wanted to chime in on this." And I was like, now that I see you,
I know eavesdropping.
Yeah, I was eavesdropping, but I was like, now that I see you, I was like, I know you. I was like, I'm sorry that your show got canceled on HBO, and she goes, "Oh, thanks." Yeah,
she was in
Hacks. Stuff. Yeah. But I go, I'm sorry, your show. The show at that time was hung on HBO
but she's also in Hacks.
And Hacks
more recently.
And she was also in Wonder Boys.
Was she the
Huh?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. James Adams. He was the pimp.
Yeah, she was the pimp. Yeah. And so at that time, like Hung had just got canceled, and I said, I was like, I'm sorry, Hung got canceled. I really liked that show. And she did say thank you, but then her next sentence always threw me off. She goes, well, you realize that was a character, right? And I just, obviously, like you think I'm
no. What she thought you were she wanted you to pimp you out.
Something.
She was also in Eternal Sunshine.
That's right.
That's
right.
So that's pretty cool. Huh.
But
so Nick wanted to prostitute himself, but
I guess, yeah. Like I just never had. I'll never forget the conversation just because of that's what she said. Like, you think I don't know you're an actor? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How did you escape the TV show?
You're right. How did you get out of the box?
So let's face it. Some actors are they're actors because they like to escape. And they're more comfortable being different people, so they're strange.
Yeah, and it's amazing too. Like just the certain actors really get into kind of like my wife was looking up Alan Tudyk, and we've talked about him before on the show.
So much stuff.
But when you look at his voice work, his voice work, it is fucking insane. Which brings me to a movie that we went to see.
A movie.
Yeah, I know, right? I would go out to see a movie. So it's called The Wild Robot.
I actually just looked at that, like, to see if I wanted to see it.
Really good.
Yeah,
really good.
Is it a cartoon?
It's a cartoon.
Yeah,
not cartoon, but animated.
I could easily see this winning like animated.
Yeah, it's currently sitting at 99%.
Mark Hamill is one of the voices, which I didn't even realize until the end of the movie. So
my good friend, and
just the story just was really, really solid. It definitely has some kind of, you're kind of like, I'm expecting that maybe this is gonna get emotional here. Like I didn't. Necessarily.
Because you're a man.
Because I'm a man. I can take it.
I don't cry.
I'm
a man.
I didn't cry when I broke my arm. I'm not crying now. But no, it was a very, very sweet movie, and worth a watch. Like, this is a rare thing for me where after watching an animated movie, rarely am I like, I kind of want to watch that again.
Oh, nice.
Like
the previews say a movie, maybe the best movie of the year, maybe the best movie ever.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's the best animated film of the year, and possibly the best film of the year.
Because I kind of want to see it, but Cindy's not going to want to see it because we're talking with you because Jay's his family's out of town, and we said let's go see a movie, and we were looking at the movies, and I go,
Jack, it will pull at the mama strings too.
Cindy's
because it's got that kind of motherly kind of.
She didn't like that. What was that movie with the robot in the end of the world type thing?
I don't know.
The Creator?
No. Where's Matt
what year? What time?
It was like 20 years ago. Okay.
Bob? AI?
No, Bob. Bob. It was an animated.
He's a cartoon.
He's on the world has ended.
I hate it. He's like a balloon.
No, he's a robot.
He's a robot.
Wall-E.
Wall-E. Thank you, Matt K. Wall-E.
It is different.
She didn't
Wall-E.
like Wall-E.
It is.
I get it, but she didn't like Wall-E.
I can see where people will not like Wall-E.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it is a completely different movie than Wall-E.
Like
I wouldn't even.
That movie is completely silent.
If I were to compare it,
we had the kids at home, and she didn't like Wall-E. We watched it family night. I go, how can you not like Wall-E?
I would compare it closer to the Iron Giant than I would to
Iron Giant. I haven't seen that in 40.
I didn't really like the Iron Giant,
and I wouldn't say that it is it has its own story. So just to even give it like a reference to, I feel like it does it disservice. So highly recommend this movie though. Really loved it.
All right, okay.
Watched it with the family and
family movie. Okay,
and again. Even if it's like, I don't know, December and you're listening to this and you're like, and it's finally available on digital, watch this movie, buy this movie. It's worth a watch.
And don't cry like Matt did because Matt's a man.
I rarely watch an animated movie and then I want to see it again. It has a very peaceful, calming vibe to it. It would be like Castaway meets the Iron Giant. If I were to merge.
So there's a volleyball.
So there's a volleyball.
Wilson! Well,
no, it just has a certain survival aspect to it, but also it is its own thing. It reminded me of, and it is based on a book. It's based on a novel series. But
it's funny as we mentioned Castaway. When I was coaching hockey before I moved out here, I had this coach, Coach Jim. He was very old school, very
Slim Jim.
He was very,
Big Jim.
Very, he was an assistant coach.
Jim.
Great guy, loved him. He was great. He says he saw Castaway. I said, "Oh, is it any good?" He goes, "Some fucking idiot cries over a volleyball." And I go, "Huh?" He goes, Tom Hanks is like he's
I love that movie.
He loses a volleyball and he's like balling like a fucking idiot. And this guy was like the greatest guy. I love Jim. He was just the greatest guy in the world. But I was like going, so should I see it? Goes, only if you're going to cry about a volleyball. It's a fucking ball. And I'm like going, God. So I had no idea what he was talking about. So when I saw it, I go, I get it. It was his friend. It was, I had to, I was a hockey coach, so I had to, I get it, Jim.
I don't think I liked it either the first time I saw it.
Of course not.
But no, I mean, I was that was 2000. I was 19 when that movie came out.
You were less flexible at 19.
Well, I mean, I like it. I think it's a.
He wasn't
like Gone with the Wind either.
Nick's 19 is like an actually like 25-year-old, So. Although I saw it probably at that age, and I liked the spaciousness of it and how like it's mostly ocean, and there's that component to it that really kind of gives it this unique space.
Yeah.
So it exists in a different kind of realm as far as a movie too, because it has like this like clear beginning, like middle.
I like it because at that time I was going through I had a lot of teeth problems.
Oh.
And so the part with the skate where he
knocks out his tooth. Oh yeah, God.
I said, okay, I understand that. And plus I had sharpened those kind of skates and stuff like that. So it was like it was like well,
this makes sense.
I understand this.
I'm taking notes.
Because a lot of people don't understand skates don't come sharpened. Right. You can always see that person out there skating and they're like falling down. I go, come here. And they go, are those new skates? They go, yeah. I go, did you sharpen them first? They go, what? And I go, they're new. I go, they don't come. They have like a metal on it to protect the blade.
Yeah.
And so there's literally, you can't skate. You can't skate on them. And they go, oh, I didn't know that. I go, well, the person that sold them to you should have told you they have to be sharpened. So yeah. Anyway.
I think, at 19, I mean, not that you're immature, but you're not. The older I get, the more I appreciate Castaway. Kind of like what Matt was saying. I like that it's kind of an emotional roller coaster, and that you see someone who, in the beginning, he's a workaholic, but he also, you take for granted all the luxuries.
And Helen Hunt, spoiler, dumps him.
Not quite, but that's something like you have these books.
She does,
but it's not her choice, at that point. But like, I like that it's bookend. I like that it's bookend like that, to where you have this, kind of taking it for granted, and then you've lost everything, but there's always a newness, and a hope at the end. But I also like what Matt was saying in the middle. I like that you feel that experience because of the time, of the silence. Like, you feel like his desperation when he's trying to kill himself. You feel the loneliness. You feel all these things that are happening in it. And when you're young, you might not appreciate that because you're expecting Saving Private Ryan. You're expecting an action film.
Jim was old, so he wasn't young.
We talking about Jim?
Well, and it doesn't.
The guy that told me about the movie.
Oh,
but it also doesn't move. Like, it's not like once he's on the island, it doesn't move at a fast pace. It is spacious, and you know. When you
they smart to do that because it highlighted his pain and
the expanse of time and everything that he had to figure out along the way. It's just like, so I really really enjoyed that aspect of it. So.
I haven't seen Castaway in forever.
It's been quite a few years. I mean, I think it really
it's one of those. It's one of those that ended up on Blu-ray in my collection. I'm like, I don't know.
Again, I always said this. In fact, I told Jim. I think I said, I kind of enjoyed it. I got the whole volleyball thing. He goes,
It kind of tears your heart out, though. I mean, the end. I mean, because you really want him to be with Helen Hunt, but they're making the right decision as adults. You know,
hold on.
It has a very Casablanca.
I thought he could do better. I'm just saying.
And I think the 20-year-old me that watched that, you know, and not understanding life or the maturity of you know, that I was a little like, you know, but you know, it's just, it feels real. So.
And he delivers the last package. I thought was
yeah.
I'm still always curious, like what was in it, but yeah,
that's the key. That's what makes it such a great movie.
My guess is a dildo. So. Yeah. Like that would be a really funny,
a sculpted one, because she was an artist, so it's like
that could that have knocked out my tooth? No, I picked the right thing with the skate.
Well, I think someone actually did a joke with that. It's like, you know, the last one when he actually opens it up, it's like it's a Swiss Army knife, and it's like a fire making kit. You know?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it was something he could have used.
I say the dildo because he's going. You know, you see him going.
We know what you're thinking, Matt. We know
going to meet this artist that's a female. I'm just saying, maybe she's satisfying herself.
So you're saying this artist couldn't.
It's going to be another letdown. It's going to be like Helen Hunt 2.0. I'm just.
And who was Helen Hunt married to? Was it Mr. Big from Sex and the City?
I have no Carl Weathers for all I care. I can't.
He was great on Star Wars.
He also appears in Arrested Development. So, yeah, I was.
Where's Matt Treese? Matt Cabe, you've taken over for Matt Treese. Who was
your name's Matt? You're good enough.
Who was Helen Hunt married to when she dumped? Okay, this is another storyline. Here is Helen Hunt. She's in love with this guy who's a worker, Hank Azaria. That's right. Thank you, Matt Treese.
Oh.
Finally showed yourself, Matt Treese.
I couldn't recognize his voice from The Simpsons.
But, you know, you have Helen Hunt. I mean, how do you go on with the rest of your life? Here's your soulmate in Tom Hanks, right? I mean, that's your soulmate. And he dies. You assume he dies. So you wait a couple, you know, I'm sure she probably only waited a month. She waits a month, and then she marries Hank Azaria.
Right.
And then you find out he's alive, and you're like going, well, how could my life have been? And so anytime, I mean, if you're Hank Azaria, wait, hold on a second. If you're Hank Azaria, you're thinking, oh shit. Every time, you know, she's looking at you like, okay, I'm not Tom Hanks. I get it. Go ahead.
Well, there's a couple of debates to have here, you know, and like I think if it would have just been her married to Hank and that's it, there's a high probability that she leaves him and goes with Tom Hanks. But they have kids, and that's the thing, is that, you know,
do I like these kids?
Yeah, but that's the, you know,
they look like Hank Azaria, not Tom Hanks.
She has built a life with Hank and these children, and you're leaving for completely selfish reasons at this point, and your kids will resent you for the rest of their lives.
But unfortunately, people are selfish. I'm just saying, is she?
But here's the thing:
Helen
Hunt is a stand-up. Her character is a stand-up character, so she wouldn't do that. That's what we're led to believe.
Do we know? I'm not saying she would have left. Hold on. I'm not saying she would have left Hank Azaria. I'm saying she would probably thinking, oh man, how would my life have been if Tom Hanks had not crashed on
maybe that's Castaway 2.0.
We could have had a baby named Wilson.
There's a whole other story where
Tom Hanks is going to insist that they name a baby Wilson.
Yeah.
Right? Whoever he marries, I don't care what we do, but our first son has to be named Wilson. Why? He has to be named Wilson, okay?
Oh, what, you going to lose him too?
Yeah. He has Wilson tied to a raft. It's a baby. Wah, wah, wah. Wilson, shut up.
You know what we should shut up about? We should have another commercial break. I want to make Matt happy and let him know that I watched and finished Chaos.
Oh, okay. Well, now, okay. We just need to preface this now because, Maggie, the Magnificent, she reached out to me. And she said that she had watched Chaos. So she, and I said, oh, well, I'll give my review, but then she was just like, no spoilers. So,
okay.
So I feel like we really kind of do need to do spoilers, Maggie. Right? Like, I mean, Nick and I need to talk
no longer a patron after this episode. Like, I can't believe it.
I mean, okay. I just feel
you're basically treating Maggie like Wilson the volleyball.
No. I just feel like we should put it in a disclaimer here for like Maggie. Maybe you should skip, and I can even set a timer here for ourselves, and only like say skip ahead 1 or like 5 minutes. Let's say, okay.
Oh, I forgot. Hold on a second. I forgot that
Jack can't interrupt though, because then it's going to delay those 5 minutes.
She divorced Hank Azaria in real life. I forgot.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, there we go. Thank you for that. All right, Maggie. We're going to start the clock now, and only Nick and I are going to have a conversation about this because Jack doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about right now. Okay. So 5 minutes, skip ahead, and then we will be back to spoiler free for Chaos.
Hold on a second. 5 minutes? Go ahead.
Well, I'm expecting that Nick's going to have some things to say. I'm going to have some things to say back. And it just gives an honest
sure Nick
buffer.
Hated it.
Well, the longer we go, the more this 5 minutes gets pushed back. All right, let's start now.
Sure.
All right, Nick. So, what did you think about Chaos?
I gave it an 8.4 out of
Okay. Okay, that's a lot higher than what I thought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It could be an 8.2.
Okay.
Somewhere between 8.2 and 8.4.
Okay.
So, it is not blow your doors away good, but it is intriguing in a lot of ways.
Yes. You're saying all of the things that I'm agreeing with so far. Okay.
Yeah. It has a lot of elements to it in...
it reminds me of Westworld in a weird way.
It does, yes. That's a good, like the feel. Yeah, the feel is definitely Westworld-ish. I wanted a little
Jack
bit...
is shocked.
Yeah, I want a little bit more conflict of like gods against gods, kind of like Clash of the Titans.
Yes.
But I do like it. Yeah.
Okay. So here is my like for this show. I've talked about it for the last couple of weeks. Why? Because I've put it on and I've fallen asleep. I've put it on and fallen asleep. And therefore it gets a lower rating in my bingeability of watching this show.
Yeah. I think I broke mine up like 3 episodes each. Yeah.
It has a lot of moving parts. So it's very Lostian in that way, and you have these like myths being retold in a very cool way. Even if I'm not on board with all of the actors playing those parts. Like some of them I'm kind of like, he's okay.
When Jack watches it, if he gets around to watching it, I will be curious if he figures out who Prometheus is.
Okay.
The actor who plays Prometheus.
That's a good. Yeah.
There's definitely for people who are not Greek people. I kind of wanted them to explain a little bit more, like who, like, because like people don't know that Prometheus is Zeus's cousin, and you have the brothers, which is Hades, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hera. And then like it's hard to grasp like who these people are without knowing that stuff.
And they kind of do a little bit of that backstory in the first episode or 2, but then it kind of falls away and you kind of lose a little bit of that thread. And so with the mythology aspect of it and a lot of these moving parts, some of that can kind of be hard to kind of keep track of, especially if you fell asleep like I did. But I did like it though. And my one thing is that I felt like it could have had one more episode that just was like, boom, here's some more action.
That's what worries me a little bit, that the way they ended it, and like it's the perfect ending for season 1, but it's one of those where it's like it's gonna so hang on season 2 now of like where do they go with it.
because the dominoes really feel like they're set up and you're starting to see them fall.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, I guess, my one thing that's why I wanted one more episode. I wanted to see more dominoes falling. And so that's my one like bit of like just would have wanted more. So, but I feel like we've kept this spoiler light.
I think so too. Yeah, just kind of giving our review, our thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, we can end this now.
I kind of wanted to hear.
We got 1 minute left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. I I still don't quite see
Jeff Goldblum as
Zeus. Because I can't see Zeus being like that, like Jeff Goldblum. But it's still good. I definitely felt sorry for I'm forgetting his name now. The one who's the god of partying and all that. The one
Dionysus.
Dionysus. I did feel sorry for Dionysus. His one request from here. And it's like, man, like
yeah.
But no, I enjoyed it. It's
funny the use of music, because they use a lot of contemporary music, but then there's one person who actually sings a song, and the song that they sing, you're just kind of like, oh, okay, like, is he like the Coldplay of this world? Like, is he like the Harry Styles? Like, what, like, what's up with this guy? Like, it just, so some of that stuff, but anyway, I still recommend watching the show.
Yeah. So I mean, like right now we're kind of in a slow period anyway. So if you have time out there, everybody, and you want to watch a show that you'll be entertained and you won't hate it.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, you're not entertained. What? Give Chaos a shot.
Yeah.
I mean, because like the only other show I think right now is Bad Monkey on Apple, and I give it way less rating than Chaos.
People kind of chiming in on that. So this is a good way to kind of tangent here because it pivots from my review of, and Maggie, if you've skipped ahead, we're not talking spoilers anymore. We were very, very light on our review, if you are curious. But so in contrast, right after I finished Chaos, I watched this other show on Netflix. It had been around for a while, at least one season already. And there's a new season that just dropped. It's called Kevin Can Fuck Himself. It actually is Kevin Can F Himself, but it is that.
Who's Kevin?
Well, it is. So what I fell in love with this show about is that it is a unique take on the sitcom trope. And so think of Kevin Can Wait, for instance.
Which is a great movie.
TV show, Kevin Can Wait?
Heaven Can Wait.
No, Kevin.
No, Kevin.
I understand what you're saying, but I heard Heaven Can Wait.
Okay.
I've been silent for like 6 minutes. I don't know if
I'm sorry, and I have this review of the show that
no problem.
You had your mouth open for quite a while, Jack.
You were shocked. So
I was actually on another channel.
I really got kind of into the binge flow of this show. So in contrast to Chaos, which it took me several weeks to get through because I kept falling asleep, this other show, Kevin Can F Himself, each episode I was like, ooh, I can watch another 40 minutes. I got time. So
Even though you were falling asleep during this?
During Kevin Can F Himself, I was not falling asleep during the show.
I've never even heard Kevin Can F Himself. What network?
It is on Netflix as well.
Okay, I think you said that. Okay.
And it stars you're familiar with the actress that plays Alexa from Schitt's Creek. Her name is Annie Murphy. She plays the lead role as Allison on the show. Okay. And her character, and I'm going to stay spoiler free for this review, just to try to see if anybody else would like to watch this show. But it is basically breaking the stereotype kind of sitcom trope of you have the doofus kind of husband who's all of his crazy antics are going on. And as the wife kind of leaves the room, the sitcom shuts down and she's just kind of left with her own thoughts, right? And it is a little bit of Breaking Bad meets meets a TV sitcom trope, and it really plays with.
So she breaks bad.
She kind of breaks bad a little bit. At least that's what the vibe of the pilot episode is.
She has an affair with Hank Azaria.
I'm not going to say anything else about what happens, but
she has an affair with someone.
No, I'm not going to say anything about like plot of the show.
Does Nick already hate it?
No, I don't think Nick's seen it. But as a fan of watching TV sitcoms and how it kind of plays with the whole laugh track, and it plays with, so it is almost like watching two shows at once. It's very bipolar because it shifts from sitcom mode into this other mode where she is trying to distance or separate herself from this person, essentially, that is her husband and his
on the show.
Well,
in real life,
everything
in
with
her life.
Everything with her husband is shot as a sitcom. So you hear the laugh track, and the minute she walks through the kitchen door,
you got some explaining to do.
As soon as she walks through the kitchen door and she's not in the room with Kevin, she is in her. It is kind of like when she walks
back into the set.
Well, it's not a set. It's just the fact that her life with Kevin is like a sitcom.
Like a sitcom. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
So that's
an interesting concept.
It is an interesting concept for a TV show, and I think that's what you would be kind of like interested in, Jack. Is that aspect of it?
I've never even heard of it.
Is how it plays off of that. It is 2 seasons, and the way season 2 ended was very, very satisfying.
So I've already missed one season. This thing's been out for 2 years.
Yeah, apparently.
I've never even heard of it.
Right. But I think it's a 2 season and done, because the way the second season ended, which just dropped, the second season just dropped.
I like the
recently.
fact they don't drag it out.
It makes it really satisfying as a show because when you're watching this progress, and I felt very bingeable because I finished this whole show in 1 week, whereas Chaos took me like 3 weeks to watch.
You kept sleeping.
I kept sleeping, and this one kept me on the. I was like, oh shit, what's happening next? So, highly recommend it. Watch.
The key to most binging shows is having that cliffhanger at the end. So you want to go.
That little twist, and then also I would say I cared about these characters.
And that's the key to any show, is caring about the characters.
Whereas with Chaos, and that would be my one, like kind of like I don't have any care for these characters.
Right.
Whereas this show, even though it plays against the sitcom trope, I begin to care for the character. And I think because it's Alexa from Schitt's Creek, I'm immediately like, oh shit, what is happening?
Great in Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening?
I haven't finished it, by the way. So I have 2 more seasons to go.
One other thing about her character in the show and Chris isn't even on here to correct me, but it takes place in Worcester. So
Worcester, Massachusetts.
Yeah. And she has a Boston accent. So
yeah. So she's a masshole.
I think it's Worcester.
Worcester?
Well, I mean, it's not pronounced like it sounds. So
you're right.
Because it's Massachusetts.
I should know. I just binge watched the show, and they talked about Worcester the whole time.
You're talking about characters you love, and I've been trying to watch the morning show. I think I think I'm on episode like 6 or 7. I can't get
season
into
1.
Season 1. I just can't get into the characters. I just don't care about them.
You don't care about the characters.
Well,
I can see that.
You guys said Schitt's Creek, and I only watched the first 2 to 3 episodes of that, and I couldn't get into it because I couldn't stand any of them. And I know it gets better.
That's the point.
Yeah.
There's an episode that is probably one of the funniest. I can't remember what episode it was, but
season 2, the cow milk.
Cow milk. It's so goddamn funny.
It is.
I don't know why. I don't know why I stopped, but I just got into something else.
I enjoy Schitt's Creek. I do think that season 1, Catherine O'Hara, and she's amazing.
She's amazing.
She is amazing. Yeah, she's actually also one of the voices on the wild robot.
She did lose her.
So,
she did lose her
a lot
son.
Of voice
though.
acting. Yeah.
She did forget about her son. That was bad parenting.
Sure, bad parenting. She lost her son. But anyway, I think her character or the way she plays Moira really improves and grows. So like Moira season 1 versus like, season 5. And but
the concept is, and of course, where they're living, Schitt's Creek.
Yeah,
it's very smart television. But go back to the morning show, there's not a character I like, and I think that's my problem with that. I'll watch like 20 minutes of it, and I go, okay, I'm done.
Right.
I'm gonna go watch something else, and I'll come back and finish it. Watch the other 20 minutes. I can't get, and I know it's. Well, I know people love it. I just can't get into it.
That's like, even there's a lot of stuff that's like that. It makes me think of like The Deadliest Catch, which is a reality show, but it's been on since like 2004, or 2006, and I watched every season of that show until this year. It's just the first season I have not watched, and it's because the show is, a show that's been on that long. It's going to change naturally, but the first like 4 or 5 seasons was all about crab fishing, and so it was cool, like watch how they, would catch these things and all that stuff. And then it became slowly more and more about the crew and all these different people that come in. And so, and then eventually you go, I don't care about this random guy you picked up on the dock and he's causing drama on the ship. I don't care. I just want to watch you fucking fish, dude.
Scabby Steve's not happy.
Yeah.
Some shows, I think they have to, they want to be like everybody else, where they have to have that, like Housewives or whatever it is.
Right.
To have that drama. And sometimes I go, no, just show me how you're catching the fish and how dangerous it is catching it. I've never watched it, but I'm like going, I'm like you. Well, I want to see how you catch all those fish, and how you kill the porpoises, and all that stuff.
Well, what's funny is, like, I remember in the first few seasons they kept advertising it as what's the deadliest job in the world? It's Alaskan king crab, fisherman and all this stuff. You know how many people have gone overboard in the 20 some odd seasons? It's like one, and you're like, hell,
I want more people dying.
Yeah, it's like, I don't, you never want them to die.
Did that one guy die? Did he get?
I don't think he did. I think they got him out in time, but he was just like, just shaking like crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I'd never, I would see people going overboard. I said, well, how do they die? And give these. But when I went on that cruise through Alaska, I said, oh, this ship's moving pretty quick. I can see how people, once you go overboard, they can't just stop this thing on a dime.
No, not a
and
big
the and the water's cold. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Because we were telling my daughter wanted to do a Disney cruise. I go, not with your son's too young. He crawls on, he climbs on. He's freakishly strong. He climbs on everything. And I go, he'll fall over. I go, I do not want you taking him on a cruise. I do not want you taking. I will watch him while you go on a cruise, because it's like, you look at your grandkids, you go, okay, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? I go, oh, he's a climber. It's like Alex. Alex is a climber. Alex is, I can see him climbing up over the balcony and, jumping into the ocean. Hey, look, Mom! So anyway, where did Matt go?
I think he had to take shit.
Okay. No. But yeah, so, I mean, people tell me if I should keep watching the morning show. There's parts I like, and there's just parts it's just hard to watch.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know what it is.
I never watched it, so I don't know. Yeah.
I started a show, Dark Winds.
Oh, that's on
Netflix,
AMC.
It's on AMC. Yeah, it's on Netflix. I just watched the first episode. It's funny. I watched the first episode, and we got some. Went to the pumpkin patch, and they had some CBC or whatever it's called for pain, and I take it and it kind of mellows me out. They also have a drink. I was wondering if Chris was here. I was going to bring the drink out. I haven't drank it yet, but it's like cannabis.
What does this have to do with Dark Winds? Like, he lost me.
Well, nothing. But Dark Winds. Well, Dark Winds. I took the thing and I started watching. I go, okay, this is a show I'm gonna have to concentrate on. I go, I can't concentrate. It doesn't. What the stuff I'm taking now, it doesn't make me paranoid. which is good. It just kind of relaxes me. It takes the back pain, goes from like a 50 to like a 2 or 3. But yeah, I did finish the episode. I do like it. Have you guys ever seen it?
No, because like I don't have AMC. It's a show that's been on my watch list for.
It's on Netflix. You have Netflix,
and now I have Netflix. I didn't know it. I didn't know it was available on Netflix now, so I will watch it.
But, it is. The first episode, I was like, because if you don't know what it is, it's about a
what show?
Dark Winds.
Dark Winds. It's a reservation. They're cops.
They're cops
on a reservation. They have to patrol 27,000 acres and there's a murder. And the FBI doesn't care. The FBI doesn't care and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's like Western North Carolina.
Cool. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We're giving you $750. Anyway.
One other thing I wanted to talk about with Matt. So I watched since I watched. No.
You watched Rings of Power. Awesome.
No. So since I watched, a show he watched, the last episode I was on, I was talking about.
That's right. You weren't here last week.
I wasn't here last week. Yeah, I was talking about how much I think.
Great. I'm just going to say great show last week. But go ahead.
I listened, Jack. You were kind of flat, but
I didn't talk crap about anybody, did I?
No, not that I remember.
Not yet.
There was one point though. I was like, "Oh man, I wish I could have chimed in on that." I can't remember what it was, but so I was talking about the Pink Floyd record "Animals" and how it's always the most underrated, but one of the best Pink Floyd records. And Matt sent me a picture a few days later how he was listening to Pigs on the Wing a few days later. So I was just curious if Matt listened to the entire record, and if he did, what was his opinion? Did he have repeat listens or whatnot?
I haven't had a repeat listen.
Okay,
which I should. There were moments, I think in the first song that I was like, oh, I've heard this song before. So there were definitely like moments where I was like, oh, I've heard these moments or this music before. But I think there were moments in there that reminded me of "Wish You Were Here," so that I wanted to go back and listen to those moments. And I was keenly listening for those animal noises in the guitars, which was really cool.
It is,
so
isn't it?
Like you can hear those moments. So
what's interesting about "Animals" and "Wish You Were Here" is that they were basically written at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And so "Shine On You Crazy Diamond," "Dogs," and "Sheep" were all written in 1974.
Okay.
And that was one of the very first or biggest arguments between Gilmour and Waters, is that Gilmour wanted all 3 songs to be the next record. And Roger won that argument, and thank God he did. But he said, no, he goes, this song deals with this kind of with Sid. And I think what we can do is, write some more songs and make this concept about the music industry and about Sid. And then we'll take these other 2 songs and make them about something else. And
I think those elements come through, because I think it was "Sheep" that I was just like, oh, and for anybody that has ever listened to Air, the French electronic band, they have some songs that really like kind of skim on the surface of that vibe that comes through on, and Matt Treese knows probably what I'm talking. I mean, he's done a radio show, so he's got his finger on the pulse of music. So Treese also in the comments says, speaking of AMC shows on Netflix, season 1 of Interview with a Vampire goes well with spooky season. So good to know. I'm not an Interview with a Vampire kind of person, so
it's a different, it's a modern take. Well, not modern, but it's, whereas in the movie and the book takes place in the 19th century, this one takes place in the early 20th century.
Oh, so they did the same thing with Chaos then.
Well, in a way.
Or kept falling asleep.
I remember seeing it advertised at Comic-Con before it came out, and if this was 10 years ago AMC, I would totally have AMC, but they haven't really had a hit show in a while. So
I think the show Kevin Can F Himself is an AMC show as well. So again, worth a watch.
So Matt's questioning you there, Nick.
No, I'm just saying that like it was one of those shows that as I'm watching it and it would pop up the AMC thing at the beginning, I was like, hey, they're still making some quality shows, because I think it
but AMC was money for a while.
Yeah. But it was smart too, the way that they did this show. Like it was executed, I think, very strongly. So I hope some other listeners check it out if they haven't seen it already.
I will check. I will check it out.
I mean, I think just even watching the pilot, Jack, you'd be like kind of curious, like, oh, this is interesting. And they do play with the sitcom trope throughout the show. So when it goes to the sitcom mode, it means something.
It's an interesting.
It is, because in season 2 they really play with it in a way where you're like, and my sister, actually, I had recommended it to her because she had watched Chaos, and she started watching it, and she said, oh, it reminds me of Black Mirror. So like a
so I hear Chaos, I think Get Smart. I think I talked about that.
right.
Yeah. It's the title of Chaos comes from the prophecy, or did they call it a prophecy? Yeah, in the
sure it's not Get Smart.
There's different prophecies like in the show. So
yeah, because it's basically, Jack, think of it as it's modern day, but what if the Greek gods were real? And we actually, as a world, still stuck to that kind of belief system. And so, like at birth, everyone is given a prophecy, and that's kind of the whole point of the show.
You will be a loser.
Or where they're going is that, when chaos reigns, everything's going to fall. So like all the Greeks.
So remember, no spoilers though.
There's no spoilers, but like, all of it will fall apart.
I'm trying to protect our patrons.
I'm just speculating, on what the show will be, because
even though you've seen it.
Yeah. Because I mean, really, if you think about prophecy in a way, prophecy robs you of free will. And that's one of the great things about modern day, is that people would like to believe that we have free will, but if you have a prophecy, you don't have free will. And so it's.
But do we really have free will in modern day?
Star Wars kind of deals with that in the original trilogy, with the whole like, it is your destiny, boy. Like
this is not your
this is, and like does Luke have free will of his own, to like choose his own kind of fate? So. But
that's one of the.
Whiny bitch.
That's even though of the original trilogy, Jedi is my least favorite. There's elements of Jedi I think are absolutely brilliant, and that's one of them. Is at the end there, the whole, the Luke not giving in, Luke being who he is, and the only thing that makes him have passion is the threat of the one thing that he has in his life, which is this sister.
Yeah,
and he wanted to. Your sister. Am I right?
Well, he did for the first 2 films. Yeah.
He kissed his sister, but he never.
She kissed him, actually.
So that's true.
Twice.
For luck. Okay. Do we need more luck over here? I could use some luck here. I would like to get lucky. Okay. Anyway.
Why do you think C-3PO, in Empire, when she kisses him to make Han jealous, he like immediately like freaks out? He's like, "Oh, dude, okay, I can't."
He's like, "Luke, you can't do that. That's your sister.
That's your sister.
What the hell are you doing?
They have to keep the Force strong, It's kind of like we're talking about, like the property, the property rights and all that.
Yes.
Midichlorians strong, and that.
There's speaking of incest. We've been watching Arrested Development, and
marry me.
I'm going to do something that I hardly ever do, and say that Jack is right about something, and that Arrested Development Netflix is not good.
That's what I said.
It is a dip.
Yeah.
And I think terrible. one of the problems that, like, as rewatching it, is that you have a narrator, Ron Howard, narrating things. You're on a binge streaming show, and there is probably a good 30 minutes worth of just fat that they could have cut out, because they don't have to recap because I've been binging the show.
Right.
So you don't have to recap all of this stuff. And what has become at one point a joke that you're recapping this for me has now just become kind of just like, oh my gosh.
Right.
And they made the episodes longer to fit more stuff in, but
did make it better.
When they were on the network, the condensed version made them cut out the fat. And I think that's part of the problem with the recipe there. But Jack,
I
has some words.
I just have one question. Why do people get so upset that they have to admit I'm right?
It's painful. It's painful.
It's like
because you're gonna bring it up again.
I will not bring. I won't even remember it. But it's just like because I'm right so many times. It's hard to.
Oh wow.
So, but it's like people go because my wife will say things. I hate to admit it, but you're right. I go. I was right. Of course.
All right, that's just a husband-wife thing, though.
But it's like anything, and people will go, "All right, you were right," and it's almost pain for them to say it. That's okay.
Well, that's
I get it. I'm right all the time, but it's just like anyway. Go ahead.
I only watched the first season of the Netflix, reboot or not reboot, but the continuation.
I tried. It was terrible.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The first season back is not bad, but it didn't go the route I thought it should have. Because if you look at it, and like I said this last time, like if you look at it in the context of a whodunit, because that's the thing is that Liza Minnelli is the one who dies. Spoiler, sorry. But I liked the idea of they're setting up this long joke from the original seasons of You're a Crook, Captain Hook.
Oh yeah, no, and, I totally get all of that. But
if they did that, it would have been brilliant, but they didn't.
But and the fourth season is just really long. Like it's just like we at some point we were just like let's just switch.
Sometimes you just have to say fuck it. We're just gonna leave it alone.
Right, we've done that too. We've done that as a family where we've walked away from some shows because it just was losing. It was just like, okay, this part's not even funny. Like Job is like one of my favorite characters, and it's like the parts that are with him.
Yeah, I'm doing the Modern Family rewatch, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna finish this out.
Gonna finish this. You're at what season now?
I'm on the 10th episode. Haley's pregnant with twins.
10th episode of which season?
10th
10 or 11
season of Modern Family. She's Haley is pregnant.
Right.
I'm pushing through it. It's like, okay, let's stop. Manny used, like I said, Manny when he was younger was one of the better characters. Older Manny is just annoying.
Right. They struggle with certain storylines with him.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, we just should have sent Manny to college and said, fuck it.
You're
going
this
to college, we're done with you.
There's this one part where like they're walking by a laundromat and they're playing the movie like in a laundromat or something like that. Like Phil and Manny are like in this movie together. It's a movie that Manny made and they're projecting.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. And they walk by and Lily's just like, are we not going to talk about that Uncle Phil is on a movie in the middle of a laundromat? Like they just walk by.
Again, Manny, like I said, as a young kid, was very funny, quirky. He's not as he gets older. He's just annoying.
I like the improv girl that they bring in.
Yeah.
What is her name?
Oh, they don't like her.
I think she is hilarious. Though.
She is hilarious. Because she's terrible.
She's terrible. Yeah. It's not Sherry.
Sherry, baby.
But it's something.
Obviously,
like that.
If you think someone named is going to be terrible, his name's Sherry. Obviously, you'd go with Sherry.
I'll look it up. It's not Sherry, but anyway, Sharon. Maybe it's
Sharon. Anyway, it's because I just finished the episode where Gloria's mad that he's bossing Manny around, and then she tells, "Well, I know it's Gloria because she bosses you." Or she tells Jay, "You're bossing me around." Yeah, you're right. Of course, Jay's lucky to be having he's married to Gloria.
Right.
Who's he to complain?
Right.
Right. You if you're married to Gloria, you keep your mouth shut. Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right? I mean, let's just be honest here. But it's just like I just like the Manny character should have been gone. Alex, they didn't know what to do with Alex anymore.
Yeah, well, and then in the last season too, like just because you're not even there, you're like in the 10th season.
I've really slowed down because it's like
I think Modern Family has like these different eras. Like there's the early eras, like you see the season 1 through 4, the writing's really tight, and Luke is still in his prime.
Yeah.
And then there's the middle years where Luke's kind of more in the awkward stage, but Lily picks up the slack for being the funny kid.
Yes.
And I think the writing shifts, because what happens on a show, it's like you get credit. You're like, hey, we got these Emmys. I'm going to go over here. I got another network that I can do my own show.
Or maybe they have their own scripts, for the writing.
I think also the problem is a lot of the time, I know people were complaining at the time, oh, they're not doing, they're not making a statement or something like that. I go, fuck it, make me laugh.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't care that I don't care. Make me laugh. I think they buckled to the pressure of what.
Yeah. I think they were a little bit more kind of saying,
well, we have to make a statement. Jay has to be more of a, he has to be more of an open person. He has to.
I like the moments where him and Mitch have these.
Yes,
Mitch will have these like heart to heart kind of moments. I actually
I do like that.
Yes,
I do like that.
So I think that is to the strength of the heart. But here's the thing: you have a heart to heart moment. Real life, it's like, okay, life goes on. Things fall. Like either you stay glued together or you. But as much time as they spend together, it's like.
And again, I don't know how Cam and Mitch stay together.
Right.
I cannot go through an episode where they're going, okay.
It's almost a travesty that they adopt another child at the end. It's like, what are they?
They're polar opposites. I mean,
I did find out that, and I thought this was odd. I didn't know this, but they almost had a spinoff with Mitch and Cam.
Really?
To, because
they go the country of Missouri, right?
There was kind of like they were going to go back to Missouri or what have you, and it was going to kind of set up Cam and kind of like a football kind
of. It was too late. It was too late at that point.
Yeah,
I tend not to like those shows anyway, because like on an ensemble show like that, you can't just take an element of it.
Well, it didn't really work well for the Friends when they did the whole Joey thing.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and MASH after MASH, it just.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it works, but like with Frasier, but they recreated a whole other paradigm.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah, because like Frasier was never a.
They added his brother, his dad, whose dad was actually in Cheers as a advertisement singer. He was in one episode of Cheers.
I'm still wondering what Matt Treast in the comments is mentioning too. It's all build up and no payoff. Is that what she said?
I'm not sure where I read this the other day, and if I did, I should have sent it to you, Jack, because you would have liked it. But it was talking about how the Rebecca years is what saved Cheers. What made
it did.
It's what made Cheers what it is. Like, because
I think it just gave it new life. I mean,
it did. That's
kind of like saying like, yeah. I mean,
well, they're saying that the Diane years, even though they were great. By the end, the will they, won't they had just played out.
Right.
And if she hadn't left when she did, the show probably would have been canceled or faltered. And Rebecca came in, and it was
like a brand new
show. Yeah, it wasn't will they get together. It was like, no, she was an equal footing member of the cast that was equally funny. It wasn't like a dynamic. And so, yeah, I agree with that, because I tend to like the Rebecca years more than Diane.
It's funny, as I think I've said before, I like the Rebecca years more than the Diane years.
I was watching them when they were airing live during the Rebecca years. I mean, the late 80s, early 90s, that was my prime TV watching time for both SNL and Cheers. Like, I was just kind of a dyed in the wool. Like, I would watch those shows. Any Thursday night show, I was pretty much game for.
I think the first 15 to 20 years of SNL are just solid. They're so good. I mean, there's definitely a few seasons here and there that are not that good.
First 5, and then I skip 5. It's kind of peppered in the middle there with the Eddie Murphy years, but it's like yeah. I mean, but yeah, the late 80s though. And I think everybody's kind of like this. When you start watching SNL, those are your favorites.
I can see that. Well, I remember
like it's almost kind of like a rite of passage or an introduction. Like I can even see it with my own kids. It's like, when we watch certain, like sketches or whatever, it's like they're like, oh, like they're.
I remember having, so I guess my dad recorded it or somebody recorded it. It was the 15th anniversary of SNL, and it was it was the highlights from the first 15 years. And I remember watching that tape a lot as a kid and knowing all the classic sketches from that. And then, of course, this is roughly 1990, so it's all still Phil Hartman, it's still Dana Carvey, it's still like all that, the John Lovitz, and then you get the the Adam Sandler's coming in and all the and basically right there when the Will Ferrell and the 95, 96 new cast came along was kind of when I started to stop watching it. So you're probably right, Matt, in that that first cast that you're introduced to is like that's your cast, that you like.
And Miami Mike says the opening episode on Saturday was really good. The even I don't know if it was like their best host episode, but the opener, the cold open, was really hilarious, and the montage that they're doing for this season because it's the 50th.
Oh,
when they introduce the cast members, the little montage, the part that you usually skip if you're watching it real,
right.
You're not watching it live, right?
Right.
But all of those are callbacks to previous decades and previous other cast members. So it's really kind of cool. I saw it. I follow an Instagram thread on SNL stuff, and they did a breakdown of like, oh, this is like Phil Hartman. And this marries up with this current.
That's the one that makes me sad though every time because like
for sure.
I know the story we talked about. I thought we had the Phil Hartman one. Like the Phil Hartman one's the saddest one of all of them because of like the swinging earring is his wife that killed him. And, yeah. It's, like,
it's funny because I obviously watched. I'm old enough to have watched it from the start, which I did. But today I did a TikTok video live, and I did the top 10 Saturday Night Live cast members of all time, and I said this is the hardest list I've ever had.
That would be extremely hard,
and people were like getting pissed. This is who I had: Mike Myers, Kate McKinnon, Bill Murray.
Okay.
No particular order.
Bill
Murray, Chris Farley, Kenan Thompson, Phil Hartman, Dana Carvey. I actually had a typo. I have it Gilda Radner. It's Gilda Radner.
Sure.
Like that. It's Gilda. I go, I get it. It's typo.
Yeah.
John Belushi and Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And people are like, how the fuck can you not have Will Ferrell in there? I go, again, you have to.
I mean, you didn't even have Chevy Chase. I mean, like,
I go, the people are saying that. I go, well, Chevy Chase was only on for a year. I go, I love Chevy Chase. I go,
Eddie Murphy was never part of the cast.
Huh?
Eddie Murphy was never a part of the cast.
What do you mean he's never part of the cast?
He was always a guest star.
Really?
Yeah. At least that's my memory of it.
I think it was. I think they list it as though he's part of the cast. Like, I think it's just kind of.
He saved the show.
He did save the show.
So, because he was a reoccurring member on the.
And then you have 85 or 86, whatever season that is, where it's all they got professional, like Billy Crystal and
Billy Crystal, Martin Short.
They're just on for one season. That's it. And that's
and people are like, no Martin Short, no Billy Crystal. I go, God, again,
right?
I would go. I go, you make your list.
You could have a top 10 list of the top 10 comedians, top 10 comedians that never made it onto SNL. Right, like they auditioned and they never made it. You could make a top 10 list of that, and still, you would be like, "How did you not have this person?"
People go, no Jane Curtin, no Dan Aykroyd. I go again
because I mean, like,
you have to make a top 10 list,
right?
Well, exactly, because like when I think
it's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible. Period.
But Tree says that you're mixing up Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy because Steve Martin
was
never.
That's why I said thanks.
He was on the he did host 5 shows. Because he was on, he got this.
Oh, 5-time.
Five-timer.
Because it's one of those things where, like, when I think of classic, who I would put, I think of like what are the bits that stand out in your mind that like Oh, because like you think Phil Hartman was on there, and he was what like Mike Myers referred to him as the glue of the show.
Yes,
he's in every sketch,
Yep.
and he makes the sketches, but he didn't have any of his own sketches other than like Caveman, Lawyer, and a few others that were like. But even then, they're not classic sketches.
I love Caveman Lawyer.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I do.
I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's just.
I'm just saying.
Compared to like Church Lady or like
yeah.
Wayne's World or so many other things, it's like it's just it's hard to. And then like Samurai, whatever.
Yeah, John Belushi, Samurai, Samurai Night Fever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the church chat with Dana Carvey, and like you hear about him recapping this on his podcast, or. You kind of have to go back a ways, I guess, maybe to hear his retelling of this. But he was doing the cold open on his like rookie year, essentially. And he just like he was doing Church Lady, and he went to shake someone's hand, or he went to put out his hand, and he says you can see the sweat just flying off of his hand, like how nervous he was,
right.
So it's
I have no David Spade on there either,
right?
It's like I kept telling people, I go again,
or Tina Fey,
I
or
said you
Amy Poehler.
I said Amy Poehler. I go, I put Amy Poehler or Tina Fey because
Adam Sandler.
Tina Fey was more of a.
I mean, there's just so many. I mean,
I said
you.
I go. Because what I did, I said, McDonald. I saw this on on Twitter, and I said, "Oh, this will be." And people were like getting pissed. I go, people. I go, try and make your own list. I go, literally, I kept cutting people off. It was just crazy.
Miami Mike says Phil Hartman was like the glue guy in the NBA. Didn't star, but made every sketch better. Yeah, I think you're thinking of Dan Marino.
Bill Hader, yes, Bill Hader is
Bill Hader. Oh, I mean, I've been watching. The genius of Bill Hader is also like he goes on to do Barry. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you see these comedians like Will Forte, and it's just like they were one of these like kooky guys and like all of these different crazy sketches. Kind of like almost like a Will Ferrell 2.0, and he goes on to do other stuff. But
someone said Will Ferrell. How could you not have Will Ferrell on?
How could you not have Bobby Monahan? I mean, like he was on your podcast.
I know, and I actually know him. So it's like again, I was like,
I wouldn't put Will Ferrell in my top 10.
But but people said Will Ferrell had the most success from Saturday Night. I go,
he did.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I said Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. For sure.
John Belushi had huge success. Mike Myers with Wayne's World and Austin Powers. I go, Will Ferrell.
Jason Sudeikis. I mean,
Jason Sudeikis. I said, how's he not on the list? I was arguing with myself.
Right. Sure.
I go, Saturday Night Live is just one of those things where I almost had to break it down to top 10 females, top 10 males, what era they were.
Right.
Because Jane Curtin should be on the list. Dan Aykroyd should be on the list. But I go, you can't.
Yeah, I believe if I remember correctly, the current like in the opening montage, like Kenan Thompson's little spot is a reference to Jane Curtin's opening spot, like because she's in Times Square, her name's up there, and then like similar. So that's kind of what they're doing there. And the guy that does the Trump, I can't remember his name. The current Trump.
Oh yeah.
He's really good. And anyway, his is Phil Hartman because he's got the martini glass and he's kind of in the nightclub, that kind of classic Phil Hartman like 90s. So anyway, it's worth a watch. It's worth a check out. Especially if you're a fan of the show.
I suppose when I think of Phil Hartman SNL, I always think of him just doing Bill Clinton.
There's a lot of things we're not going to tell Mrs. Clinton.
Well, yeah, right. Well, I remember
James Austin Johnson. Thank you, Treast.
And that one came true to
Well, right. He comes into the McDonald's. He's supposed to be jogging. And he's like, "Well, we're gonna are you gonna finish those fries?" It's just like,
I think those are delicious.
I think Treast hits Eddie Murphy, Mike Myers, Adam Sandler. As far as popular hits, I would say that the Will Ferrell would be in the Mount Rushmore of people that have gone on to make a lot of money off of.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Eddie Murphy, Will Ferrell, like the number of movies that they went on to.
Someone in the chat when they were going back, they said Eddie Murphy was overrated. I go, what?
Yeah.
I go, literally saved the show. I go, Gumby, damn it. I mean, there's so many. Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood.
I just happened to I was listening to the Dana Carvey, David Spade, Fly on the Wall podcast, but I was listening to the Jason Sudeikis interview from several months ago, and just happened to pop on while I'm driving home, right? And it's kind of the end of the interview, and it was interesting because Sudeikis was talking about how his dad in the 80s, and this is me, right? This is straight at me. He's like, yeah, my dad would take me to these rated R movies, and we would see them, like Beverly Hills Cop, and it was funny. And he was just like, at that moment, he was like, I wanted to be Eddie Murphy, like that aspect of it's just like, well, I don't know what he's doing, but it's like, I want to be doing what he's doing, and going to see R-rated movies or being exposed to that stuff at a young age, it didn't turn me into it.
And the guy that played Taggart passed away this week.
He did.
Did he?
A lot of people died this week.
You're right, Nick. A lot of people. Pete Rose died.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot.
That didn't get as much press as I thought it would.
Yeah. Well, because he went in head first. Sorry, I'm sorry. It was just right there.
He hustled into the grave.
It was. There was a whistle.
Now maybe they can put him in the Hall of Fame, which he deserves.
All right, Miami Mike with the numbers here, bringing the stats like in the old days. Three sports guys. Wait.
Oh.
Mike Myers movies gross earnings $4.1 billion. Eddie Murphy $3.8 billion. Will Ferrell $2.6 billion. So.
I think that almost should be an asterisk though. I think for Mike Myers because that's counting Shrek.
No, it counts, man. That's him.
Well, Eddie Murphy was in Shrek.
Yeah,
that's
and
true.
I'd be curious about Adam Sandler because I feel like he's created a movie empire. But
heck yeah,
so
even if they aren't good all the time.
Yeah, I wanted to
even
go back.
If they aren't good, go ahead, Nick.
I wanted to go back to just like another good Bill Clinton because I couldn't remember his name, the actor who played him, but where is it? Daryl Hammond.
Hammond.
Oh, yeah.
It's like in 98 or 99, roughly. It's towards the end of the Clinton years, but it's one of the ones I always remember because I remember thinking it was hilarious. But he's like, and it's like Bill Clinton's movie reviews or something like that. And he's like, American people, I went to go see this movie called A Perfect Murder. I went with notes. I went with he's thinking about killing Hillary, and like he goes, that movie was neither perfect nor did he get away with murder. And like it's so good. It's like
yeah, Daryl Hammond was very again.
He was the Kenan Thompson because he had the longest.
I go, how can you not put him on the list with his Sean Connery and the Jeopardy episodes and he nailed every impression he did.
Well, they kept him on for a long time because he was, I mean, post Dana Carvey, he really kind of was the impression guy.
Yeah.
Right.
So
even Bill Hader, like that's what's funny is like how good he is at and you don't think it, you've seen him. I've seen him on so many talk shows doing impersonations. I'm sure you've seen the one. It's been on a lot last few weeks for him doing Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's like, he goes, I was a runner or an aide or something like that during a Racer or one of his late 90s movies, and he's like, comes up and he's like, where is Steve? He's like, I don't know. I'll go find him. He's like, yes,
we want to pump you up.
Yeah, like go do it. Show me your leadership capabilities. It's like Jesus. It's just, but he does it just
again. It's the reason I did it was I go, this is a tough list to make, and then people are like, oh, this list is bullshit without Will Ferrell. I'm like going,
that's your opinion.
I go, give me your list. I go, give me your list. Give me your top 10 list.
Miami Mike with the numbers here, $3 billion for Sandler. Excuse me. So if we're keeping track here, we got Mike Myers 1, Eddie Murphy, then Sandler, and then Will Ferrell. So as far as top earners,
and Mike Myers is, I mean, we've talked about before. I guess he's hard to work with. So and Chevy Chase. I said, I go. They go, oh, you didn't pick Chevy Chase because you don't like his personality. I go, no. I don't care. I go, Chevy Chase made me laugh. I go, he was only on for one season. He is probably my favorite weekend update person of all time.
That's true, Matt Treist.
The highest grossing SNL cast member is a huge asterisk. RDJ.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
83 or whatever.
I guess
he got fired. I mean, that was that year that they all the cast was terrible, right?
Oh, terrible, yeah. I mean, some of them went on to bigger, better things, but they were just not funny.
Yeah, well, I would say that is a
Ben
huge
Stiller was on it, right?
What?
Ben Stiller was on it, right?
I don't remember Ben Stiller.
I thought he was.
But Elaine was. She was part of
that. Dreyfus, yeah. Well, that's where she met her husband, Brad Hall.
Yeah.
One other thing about Will Ferrell, and this is also on Netflix. Not to, I mean, this whole podcast tonight's been brought to you by Netflix.
They should be a fucking sponsor. God damn it.
Will and Harper just dropped, which is a documentary movie about Will Ferrell and this other comedic writer from SNL who came out as a woman. So it's a really I haven't finished it yet. I started to watch it with my wife.
Keep sleeping through it?
No, I got a phone call and got kind of pulled away, and so my wife kind of paused the movie, so we didn't get a chance to finish it yet. But really cool, really, I got up to the kind of the SNL visit and a little bit beyond that, but they're basically on a road trip across America together. So, but worth a watch though if you're interested in such things. So,
Matt Tree says Ben Stiller was only on 4 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
He said it wasn't his format, which was.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think Chevy Chase was going to make that billion mark. So he is.
Well, early on, he had the vacation movies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
What would those movies have made today?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what's interesting about
Fletch movies.
Time and how.
Well, and you can't necessarily cash in the cultural cachet, I guess, of like the meaning of like, Christmas Vacation or Elf. By the way, both have Chevy Chase. But I mean that aspect of like those movies.
Elf has Chevy Chase.
What?
Elf has Chevy Chase?
No, I mean like Elf has Will Ferrell though.
Oh,
like, it still has like.
I thought you said Chevy Chase. Oh my god.
No, it's just the fact that they both have SNL like alums in their movies, but
James
those
Caan.
movies are watched, like all
over and over again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you really want to like leave an impression, just make a Rankin Bass
Christmas movie.
That's true. I mean, that's like I think
Die Hard.
I think Matt and I talked about this. Like,
I was excluded.
Artists will make a Christmas song. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll produce it because then they get all the money from it because it's just like
what's her name?
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey. She's
how much
trillions
money
of dollars.
Makes, yeah, she makes so much money every year just in the airplay of that. Same as like with Paul McCartney with
do they?
No, the worst Christmas song ever.
Oh, it's terrible.
One for Christmas time. Yeah, it's like
one about Christmas time. I hate that.
Don't even get me started, man.
I don't like it.
Well, technically, Mariah Carey didn't write that song. I mean, it's based off of.
They stole it, right? She stole it.
Based off of a dream.
Well, no, it's the Tom Tom Club. That's what it's,
Oh, the Tom Tom Club, yes.
Yeah, it's Tom Tom Club song. Yeah, I'm in heaven with my boyfriend. I mean, that song has been ripped off so many times.
Sad.
And they never made a dime. Never made a dime off it.
Never made a dime. Well, you know what? We never made a dime off.
I don't know
podcast.
About that.
And we've made at least a dime.
I think next time we get paid, it is a dime.
Probably, okay. Yeah. Well, Jack's doing what 4 podcasts a week now. He's sucking up all the money.
Well, to be fair, I'm only doing 2 podcasts a week. Survivor and this.
If you could just make it a dime bag, then we'll call it even. So.
Man, I remember when a dime bag used to cost a dime.
Yeah, that's why they called it a dime. God.
Well, if you have a dime and you want to send it to us, feel free. Go over to jayandjack.com. Click on that patron link, become a patron, make this show possible. Nick, we've been on this show for a while. I don't know did we do 3 pods?
We didn't. No, we should 2. And, I didn't realize that We went an hour.
Should we do another commercial break?
Well,
at this time, we're going to do a commercial break.
Way to go, Jack.
I'm going to take the initiative.
I saved the show.
Well, anyway, thank you for everybody that joined us, even coming in late to the show.
I forgot. Can I say something real quick?
No.
You know, we got that strike going on with the dock workers.
Who the fuck cares? We're trying to end this podcast.
My wife goes, oh, you better go to the ABC store. I go, why? She goes, that's part of the things that's going to be, alcohol is going to be limited. I go, what do you think? I'm an alcoholic? I go, I drink once a week when I'm on RCAD. So she's calling me an alcoholic.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the things that's really funny because my sister, who lives in East Tennessee, but that's not affected. Her is not affected, but apparently in Tennessee, it's like a whole thing. Like everyone is freaking out and like during COVID, and they're buying up all the toilet paper. And it's like,
yeah, our Costco is out of toilet paper.
We don't import toilet paper, right? Like, right. It's a totally domestic made product.
It is, but you know what caused it? TikTok.
Oh, right. Really?
Everyone panicked and said because we were going to Costco that day anyway.
Yeah, my Kroger had toilet paper.
And I kept seeing people running out with no toilet paper but paper towel. They go, "Oh Christ! I bet you they're out of toilet paper. That hurts." Tree says the strike has been suspended until next year.
Yeah, they kind of have a temporary hold on it.
All right, so now we can wipe our asses.
So now we can wipe our asses and just
go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to finish the show.
Go ahead, finish it. I apologize.
Finish it. Fatal blow. No, thank you for everybody that joined us here in the chat. I mean, we haven't seen Randy in a long time, so
what the fuck happened to Randy?
I know, right? I'm just worried that he got lost.
Chris banned him, and he hasn't come back since.
Right. Well, that's what happens when we fly off the handle.
Because we have no emails, right?
No. Actually, I'm excited for a second because we did get one, but it was a junk.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe next week all of this will be finally back together again. Who knows?
I will not. I will be in San Diego next week.
San Diego, really?
There you go.
Just for like the Wednesday and Thursday.
This is just a rotating show of
I actually will be in Miramar. But
Miramar.
Yeah.
You finally got your wish.
I did.
You're going to Miramar.
I gotta send you to.
God damn it, Maverick.
So thanks for those that joined us in the chat. Miami Mike, Matt Treese, Sherry, also Sherry. Matt K. So and Jack for not ever singing that song again. Thank you for everybody that's here. So including my fellow host. The patrons that make this show possible, specifically Maggie the Magnificent. Thanks for emailing me about the chaos. Ed, the creepy letter carrier. I hope you're not so poopy all the time. That would be great.
All the time.
Eckhart Richter. Thank you for doing what you do. Thanks for making the show possible. And lastly, Joanne with the master plan.
P. Diddy?
No, we're not thinking P. Diddy.
I thought Nick said think P. Diddy.
No, I was thinking he actually, the poopy letter Melchior, he actually lives like the 19th century. That's why he's the poopy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, well, Sherry's already
I thought you said P. Diddy.
Yep. Mm-hmm. No. Well, that's it. Thanks. Good night, good folks.
Sherry, baby.
See ya.